Adobe was one of the hottest stocks in 2023 thanks to the artificial intelligence tidal wave that lifted a number of tech names to new heights. The digital media and software giant even outperformed AI leader Microsoft, posting a 77% gain last year. But that growth has slowed as the AI feeding frenzy begins to settle, and the company's latest earnings results have left investors questioning AI's impact on Adobe's bottom line as competition in the generative AI software space begins to heat up. Now, you might recall the famous saying that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Well, Adobe stock saw a similar pullback in 2023 before the introduction of Firefly propelled shares higher. And with new AI powered tools taking center stage at this year's Adobe Summit, investors will find out if Adobe stock will sing a similar tune or fall out of rhythm with the market. I'm your host, Alexis Garcia, and on this Growth Stories Spotlight, we talk to Anil Chakravarthy, who heads the digital experience business at Adobe, to get an inside look at the company's AI strategy and the road ahead. Anil, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on, Alexis.
So, Adobe is celebrating an anniversary of sorts. It's been about a year since the launch of Firefly, and a lot has happened in that time span with the AI revolution just dominating the conversation, both in the news headlines and on Wall Street. So, I'm curious to know where you think we're at right now in the AI moment.
I think we're at the phase where customers, brands around the world are starting to move from the experimentation phase or where they were looking at it as a way of generating new ideas to actually putting it into production, into their business processes and generating business value. We're starting to see that happen when you think of how they're creating new content, how they are producing new ideas for new content, whether it's for an ad or whether it's for on their websites or whether it's for content that gets actually put into a PowerPoint presentation. They're starting to use all of these types of technologies now in their business processes.
And what new innovations is Adobe looking to roll out to these customers?
Yeah, we are looking at a number of innovations that we'll be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. When you look at, for example, the entire area of content creation and production, being able to go all the way from how you generate your ideas to making sure that those ideas are consistent with the campaigns or that you're working on, being able to produce them, being able to use them in a variety of different formats and channels. Maybe it's going through social media, maybe it's going through a website, and so on. Being able to produce the content that's just right for all of those channels, being able to take the customer's data into account with the privacy in mind and making sure that, oh, this person is coming in from Seattle or this person likes this kind of content, being able to have the right content for them, and then being able to measure all of that and making sure that did you get business results? Did you get the right click-through rates and so on? That's really what we are announcing, a number of new innovations and tools that bring up together. We call that Adobe Gen Studio. We're also announcing a new set of innovations on how to use Adobe Firefly that you mentioned for all of these types of use cases.
Sounds like personalization maybe is kind of the name of the game here. And I'm just curious, like what investments the company is making to support the development of these new tools for its customers.
Exactly. And I think what we're focused on is we call it personalization at scale. How do you do personalization to hundreds of millions of consumers if you're a consumer brand, or if you're a B2B brand and you have thousands of businesses that you sell to, each with a number of individuals that you sell to in those businesses? How do you personalize to each one of them? And personalization today really means that understanding the history of your interactions with that particular individual, their sentiment, what interactions they have, what they value, their preferences, and being able to bring all of that together into a truly conversational offering. So almost think of it as, if you are a bank and you're personalizing, how do you have a digital personal banker? If you're a travel company, how do you provide a digital concierge or a digital healthcare advisor? All of it through a conversational interface, because that's what Gen AI makes possible. And it should be available wherever the customer wants it to be, on their phones, on their watch, for example, or in their car, or on a website. Could be anywhere that they want it to be. And that is really what we mean by personalization at scale. And that's what we're announcing, a number of innovations around.
Yeah, and I think from the investor perspective, as you know, there's just been so much excitement and hype, it seems, over how AI might bolster the growth for a number of industries, Adobe being one company in particular. And I'm curious to know what you think the business opportunity really is here for Adobe and when you might start seeing the benefits of some of these AI tools show up in maybe the bottom line.
Yeah, we've already built a number of those into our products. Firefly, as you mentioned earlier in the segment, Firefly is about 6.5 billion generations now that we have seen. It's already integrated into tools like Photoshop and Adobe Express that are already really widely used. And we're now, with all these innovations, we're building the generative AI into our enterprise products as well. So broadly, what we see is one, we'll continue to see growth in our current products because as people use more Gen AI in those products, we'll see more purchases of those products and the growth there. We'll also see entirely new products like Adobe Gen Studio that are built Gen AI first. That will be the other path we monetize as well.
And can you talk about some of those monetization strategies and how maybe Adobe is looking at pricing?
Yeah, we have in the enterprise world, we are looking at three primary monetization strategies for a number of our products. We have the upsell opportunities as people embrace the Gen AI technology that's available there. And so the Gen AI technology, so this is for example, in our Adobe Experience platform, the AI assistant that we'll be announcing shortly is available through the upsell of the existing offerings. Then we have products that we are essentially reimagining to be Gen AI first products. And we've done that with our Adobe Experience Manager, which is technology that's used to manage websites and content management. And there you can use the generative AI technology to do new variations of content. And there we get a price uplift as a result of this new technology we're delivering. And the third way we'd monetize is simply through new products like Gen Studio that are built from scratch with Gen AI.
You talked a lot about personalization at scale and really responding to that customer need. And we saw that Adobe reported the highest adoption rates of Firefly in the last quarter. And the company recently surveyed its customers to find out how exactly they're using these AI-powered tools. So, what were some of the key takeaways of that research?
Yeah, one of the things that we've done, we've surveyed both consumers as well as brands. And when you look at brands, over 40% of consumers expect brands to use Gen AI in their customer experience, to provide them that conversational interface. So what we find is when we think of personalization at scale, we believe that there are three key components that brands and enterprises all have to get right because they all work together. One is around the content, which we have talked about, how to find the right content for the right consumer at the right time in every channel. Then there is the data, the customer data. You need to have the right data. You need to understand what their privacy status is, whether they've opted in or not, what their preferences are about the data, and make sure you take that into account. And then the journeys, which is how you have both brand initiated interactions as well as customer initiated. And how do you make sure that you have the journey so that you get help the customer do what they're trying to do. And in the process, the brand fulfills their business objectives. We are using Gen AI across all of these three areas, the content, the data, and the journeys, to come together and to drive personalization at scale.
And I'm wondering, does this research validate Adobe's current AI approach, or do you foresee maybe any changes based on the use cases reported here?
No, it validates the approach we've been taking because one of the key things that came out of the research is in order for brands to put this into their processes, first of all, they need to be able to trust it. And in Gen AI, as you know, as you talked about, that's a key element. What training data was used to train those AI models? How are those models being used in the business processes? Can they make sure that they have the right level of indemnification and that they don't have a reputation risk by using these technologies? That's exactly what we're providing. So one of the things that we find from the research is that the approach that we have been taking, having only licensed data available for training, making sure that all the models are very respectful of intellectual property and making sure that they're not biased and they're not harming the brand reputation in any way. That's a critical element of making sure that these technologies actually get implemented by brands around the world.
I think not only implemented, but it seems like it might also be a possible competitive advantage because we've seen a lot of discussion around this with Sora and their video generator. I think just in general, a lot of questions about how some of these LLMs are being trained on what content. So I'm just wondering how you see the competitive field right now and what the key differentiator is for Adobe here.
For Adobe, our key differentiators are both the approach we have taken, exactly as you said. We believe we call it the art of AI, the accountability, the responsibility, and the transparency of AI. Being able to have the master that and make that available to brands, that the AI is being trained and used in the right way. The other big differentiator is our ability to bring both our creative cloud and our experience cloud together with the marketing capability, so that you have end to end when it comes to content, when it comes to the personalization. We have an extremely differentiated position.
And in terms of just with video and generative AI, because that seems to be the next big focus here, I'm wondering how you see Firefly or the Adobe programs fitting into that, and how do you think creators are going to actually use this tool?
Oh, absolutely. Again, this is one area where you should expect to see a lot of innovation from us in the coming months. Some of the areas that you will see, for example, is as you look at the number of tools that we have for video editing, whether it's a Premiere or an After Effects and so on. It's not only being able to create the initial ideas through generative AI for the videos, it's then being able to use the tools to get the right fit and finish, whether you need to do in terms of editing, in terms of compositing, in terms of all the kinds of things that our tools do so well. Make sure that you have all that so that you can then use it for any kind of business purpose that you're looking for, whether it's marketing content, whether it is to post on social media and so on. You have all of that available. Those are the kinds of things that we will be releasing soon.
So it seems like AI in this case would be, a competitive advantage instead of maybe possibly a headwind or an outright competitor.
Exactly. We do believe that the AI, our thesis has always been that the AI is not going to replace the human, but the human beings, the experts who use AI, will be far better equipped and it will be in a much better position than the ones that don't use AI. So I think it's the combination of those, and that's what we bring together with the tools that we have as well as with the AIs. It will turn out to be a competitive and a market tailwind from that perspective.
So then just to wrap things up, what would you say then is the biggest strategic priority for Adobe in the year ahead?
Yeah, I mean, we believe that we are looking at redefining the future of customer experience management in the age of generative AI. We believe that the ability to really personalize at scale is important for every business, whether it's a B2C business or B2B business in any geography around the world. But in order to be able to do that, they need to be able to apply that generative AI in the context of their business, in the context of the software they're using, and making all of that happen along with our partners. That is the strategic priority for us.
Well, Anil, thanks so much for the discussion today. We really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Alexis.